She left him for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That is all it took for America to lose its innocence forever. Right now, wherever you are watching this, I want you to stop for 1 second and think about the last time you were in a busy store with a child, a younger sibling, a nephew, a niece, any child at all. You looked away for a moment. Maybe you checked your phone, maybe you turned to grab something off a shelf, maybe you stepped 2 aisles over. For most of us, nothing happened. For one mother on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning in the summer of 1981, that single moment of turning away became the most devastating moment in American history. And everything you are about to hear, every law that now protects children in this country, every missing child alert you have ever seen flash across your screen, every code Adam announcement you have ever heard in a store, all of it, every single piece of it, traces back to one 6-year-old boy named Adam Walsh. This is his story, and I promise you, by the time this video is over, you will never look at a shopping mall the same way again. Real quick, if you are not subscribed to Crime Files America yet, I want you to look at that subscribe button right now. Every single week, cases like this one, cases that actually changed laws, cases that shaped the country you live in, are being uploaded to this channel. The people who are not subscribed will never see them. They will just disappear into the algorithm and you will never know what you missed. Do not let that happen to you. Hit subscribe and the notification bell right now so that not a single case slips past you. Go ahead. I will wait. Now, before we go any further, drop a comment below and tell me where in the world you are watching this from and what time it is over there right now as you are watching. I love seeing where this community comes from. Now let us go back to that morning. Hollywood, Florida. Not the one in California with the stars on the sidewalk. This is a quiet, sun-soaked suburb on the southeastern coast of Florida where palm trees lined the streets and neighbors still waved at each other from their driveways. That morning started the way most summer mornings did in the Walsh household. 6-year-old Adam Walsh woke up and did exactly what every child his age did in 1981. He planted himself in front of the television and watched Sesame Street. 3 feet and 6 inches tall, sandy blonde hair, hazel eyes, and dimpled cheeks covered in freckles so thick they almost looked like a tan. His nickname was Otter. He loved baseball with the kind of passion only little boys have. He loved drawing. He loved his parents more than anything else in the world, and he was completely unashamed about it. He still called his mother Mommy and his father Daddy. And nobody who knew him thought that was strange because Adam was that kind of child. His father, John Walsh, would later say, "If you could order the perfect son out of a catalog, that would have been Adam." John kissed Adam goodbye that morning and headed to work. John was riding high in his career, serving as vice president and director of marketing at the Paradise Grand Hotel, managing a $26 million renovation project. His wife, Reeve, was a part-time student studying interior design. Yet they had everything. A beautiful home, 2 promising careers, and their son, their precious only son. Around 11 in the morning, Reeve loaded Adam into their gray checker car. She had errands to run. First stop, St. Mark's Lutheran School, where she dropped off a $90 check to register Adam for 2nd grade. Then a 5-minute drive to the Hollywood Mall. Rev had been watching an advertisement for weeks, waiting for a specific lamp at Sears to go on sale. Today was the day. She parked on the north side of the mall near the catalog entrance, her usual spot. She planned to hit the gym afterward. She had been competing in bodybuilding tournaments. But first, the lamp. They walked in through the north entrance, passing guest services, and that is when Adam saw it. A brand new Atari 2600 video game system. In 1981, this was not just a toy. This was revolutionary technology. A screen, 2 controllers, and a game called Star Strike that made kids forget where they were. A small crowd of boys had gathered around it, each one waiting for their turn, eyes wide, completely mesmerized. Adam's eyes lit up like the 4th of July. He begged his mother to let him stay and watch. Reeve looked around. Security guards were patrolling the floor. Dozens of shoppers moved through the aisles. Staff stood at registers everywhere she looked. And right there, visible through the store windows directly across Hollywood Boulevard, sat the Hollywood Police Department. It was noon. Broad daylight, one of the most public, safest-looking places you could possibly imagine. "I'm going to the lamp department," she told him. "It's just a few aisles over." "Okay, Mommy," Adam said. "I know where that is." He was third in line, waiting for his turn at the game. She walked away. She would be back in 10 minutes, maybe 15 at most. Reeve reached the lamp section. The lamp was not on the floor. She asked a salesperson. They checked the back. Not in stock. The saleswoman who handled lamps was on her lunch break. Reeve left her name and number and turned around. She walked back to the toy department. The boys were gone. All of them. The Atari sat there abandoned, controllers dangling. Reeve's heart began to pound. She called his name. She walked every aisle she could find. Nothing. She went to customer service. "Page my son," she said. "Adam Walsh, please." The announcement crackled over the speakers. "Adam Walsh, your mother is waiting for you. Please report to the toy department." Silence. The announcement came again and again. Every 15 minutes, Adam's name echoed through that store. No little boy came running. No freckled face appeared from behind a clothing rack. By a stroke of pure coincidence, Reeve's mother-in-law, Jean Walsh, was shopping in the same Sears that day. They found each other and searched together. Every corner, every department, every restroom, store employees joining in. But here is what Reeve did not know. Here is what Sears would hide from her and from the world for 27 long years. At approximately noon, just minutes after Reeve had left Adam standing at that video game, a fight broke out in the toy department. 2 black boys and 2 white boys were arguing over whose turn it was to play. A 17-year-old security guard named Kathy Schaefer was called over. She was part-time. A plain clothes, completely untrained. She assumed the boys in each group belonged together. She asked the black boys if their parents were in the store. They said no. She sent them out through the north entrance, the same entrance Adam knew, the same side where his mother always parked. Then she turned to the 2 white boys. Same question. The older one said no. The younger one, wearing green shorts and a red and white striped shirt, said absolutely nothing. He was shy, scared. He probably thought he was in trouble. Kathy Schaefer ordered both white boys out through the east exit. The east exit, a door Adam Walsh had never used, leading to a part of the parking lot he had never seen. And for 27 years, the Walsh family would have absolutely no idea this had happened. Sears stayed silent, terrified of lawsuits, terrified of bad press, terrified of liability. When Reeve asked employees where the boys had gone, they shrugged and said, "He's around somewhere, you'll find him." But Adam was not around. He was outside, alone. 6 years old, in an unfamiliar section of a massive mall parking lot, confused, frightened, and completely vulnerable. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. You have watched this far. You feel what this story is doing to you right now. You care. But are you subscribed to this channel? Because right now there are people on this channel who subscribed months ago who are going to get every case like this one delivered straight to them, and there are people watching this right now who will close this video, forget to subscribe, and then spend 20 minutes the next time trying to find us again. And do not be that person. One tap, that subscribe button. Do it now while you are feeling this, because the people who wait always end up missing the next one. By 1:55 in the afternoon, nearly 2 hours after Adam was last seen, the Hollywood Police Department was finally called. Officers came from the station directly across the street, and here is the part of this story that will make your blood run cold. They did not take it seriously. The very next morning, A local newspaper printed a quote from a police aide that read, "Kidnapping is not suspected. The kid is probably trying to get home. He's probably lost." Lost. As if a 6-year-old child could wander home from 5 miles away on his own. It took 45 minutes for a uniformed officer to even arrive at the scene. 45 minutes. From a police station, you could see through the store windows. When John Walsh arrived, having raced 45 minutes from his office in Miami, he could not believe what he was looking at. "Where is the SWAT team?" he demanded. "Where is the cavalry?" The officer looked at him with something close to contempt and said, "Hey, cowboy, slow down. I don't like your attitude. Most kids walk home by themselves." John's voice broke with rage. "This is a 6-year-old boy," he said. "We live 5 miles from here. He has never walked anywhere alone in his entire life. I want a detective. I want your supervisor. You need to be out there looking for my son." But the Hollywood Police Department was not truly looking. Not with the urgency the moment demanded. John and one of his business partners essentially moved into the police station for 2 full weeks, and they barely went home. They set up their own phone tap in case a ransom call came through. Through the first sleepless night, Reeves sat at that station unable to stop thinking about Adam's yellow flip-flops. "His feet will be tired and scratched," she kept saying. "He will be cold in his t-shirt." When nightfall came and Adam had still not been found, the reality of the situation closed in like a wall. The Walshes plastered their car with handwritten signs reading, "Adam, we are still looking for you. Please stay where you are." They printed and distributed 500,000 flyers, showing Adam in his baseball uniform, smiling, innocent. John appeared on local news, voice barely holding together, saying, "We are not looking for revenge. Just drop him off somewhere safe. We will forget the whole thing." A reward was posted, of $5,000, then $10,000, then $100,000. Eventually it climbed to $120,000, the equivalent of $365,000 today. The public responded with extraordinary generosity. Helicopters circled the city. Volunteers walked through fields and drainage ditches in the Florida heat. Truck drivers searched highways and communicated over CB radios. John handed out gas money to strangers who showed up wanting to help. Friends, employees, and people who had never once met the Walsh family, all of them searching every inch of that city for one little boy in yellow flip-flops. But the police had almost nothing to go on. Witnesses reported a dark blue van with mag wheels, tinted windows, and a chrome ladder on the back. The mall had been packed with thousands of people that day. The suspect list was impossible to narrow. And compounding everything, there were no Amber Alerts in 1981. No National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The FBI was legally prohibited from getting involved unless there was proof the child had crossed state lines or a ransom note had been received. By day 7, the national media had moved on to other stories. The search continued, but hope was fracturing. Then John Walsh made a phone call that stopped him cold. He contacted the county coroner's office and discovered that unidentified bodies were only cross-referenced against missing persons cases every 6 months, by mail. "Is my son in the NCIC?" John asked. "The National Crime Information Computer." The coroner shook his head. "No missing children. No unidentified dead." John was stunned. "We put a man on the moon," he said. "And you are telling me I have to personally call every single coroner in Florida to find out if my son is dead?" The coroner nodded. "It's up to you," he said. John tried the national networks. He called ABC, NBC, and CBS, the only 3 networks that existed in 1981. They all said no. "If we do it for you," they told him, "we have to do it for every missing child." Finally, David Hartman from Good Morning America agreed to have the Walshes on. They would appear on national television to plead for their son as return. The date was set for August 11th, exactly 2 weeks after Adam vanished. "You know what I noticed about the people who found this channel and stayed? They subscribed early. They are the ones who will see the next case the moment it goes up. And the ones who didn't subscribe, they are the ones showing up 3 weeks late asking why the algorithm never showed them our videos. Here is the truth. The algorithm rewards this channel when you subscribe, when you like, when you share. If you care about stories like Adam is being told properly, with research, with respect, with the weight they deserve, then prove it. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with one person who needs to hear this story. If you subscribe right now, at least go to the comments and tell me why. I genuinely want to know what is stopping you. August 10th. The day before John and Reeve were scheduled to appear on Good Morning America. Two fishermen named Vernon Bailey and Robert Hughes were casting lines near a drainage canal off the Florida Turnpike, about 120 miles north of Hollywood. Mile marker 130, Indian River County. It was nearly nightfall, and then they saw something floating in the water. At first, they thought it was a doll's head. They moved their boat closer. It was not a doll. It was the severed head of a child. They called police immediately. Photographs were taken. The fire department arrived. Divers searched the canal for days. They never found the rest of the body. On August 11th, while John and Reeve were live on national television, begging the entire country for their son's safe return, police were making identifications back in Florida. When the Walshes landed back home, reporters swarmed them with cameras. The police had news, devastating news, 4 separate confirmations. John's close friend and business partner drove to Indian River County Hospital and identified Adam by the gap in his front teeth and the stub of a new tooth growing in. Adam's dentist brought dental charts and x-rays, an amalgam filling on the lower left molar, a perfect match. The medical examiner confirmed the identification, and years later, mitochondrial DNA from the jawbone would be matched directly to Reeve Walsh, silencing any remaining doubt once and for all. The autopsy revealed 5 blows to the back of the neck and skull, a sharp blade, approximately 5.5 inches. The cause of death was asphyxiation, trauma to the face, a fractured nose. Based on the state of decomposition, the examiner estimated Adam had been dead for at least 10 days, killed within a day or two of his abduction. He had not been kept alive, and there were no drugs in his system. The medical examiner later said, "We were lucky the head was found at all. If those fishermen had not come along that evening, no one would ever have known what happened to Adam." The Walshes held a funeral, an empty casket, because the remains were still evidence. They could not bury their son. It was eating them alive. John went to the medical examiner. He begged for the remains, for something he could hold on to, some way to give his son a proper burial. The examiner looked at him and said words that would redirect the entire course of John Walsh's life. "You cannot have the remains yet," he said, "but you can help other children. Make sure Adam did not die in vain." Those words became a mission, but first they had to find the killer. What followed was one of the most frustrating criminal investigations in American history. The Hollywood Police Department began where they always had to begin, with the people closest to the victim. Statistics do not lie. When a child disappears, the person responsible is almost always someone in the inner circle. John and Reeve both submitted to polygraph examinations. Both passed. No deception detected. But then another name surfaced. A 25-year-old man, known by the nickname Dudley, had lived with the Walsh family for 4 years and had moved out just 2 weeks before Adam disappeared. On the morning of July 27th, he had breakfast with Reeve and Adam, then left at 10 a.m. and was at his job running a boat rental stand on Miami Beach by 10:30. Multiple witnesses confirmed his timeline, but when police dug deeper, Dudley revealed something explosive. For 3 years, he had been having an affair with Reeve Walsh, and it was still ongoing at the time of Adam's disappearance. His first polygraph result was inconclusive. The second, no deception. He also underwent hypnosis. The Walsh family never believed Dudley was involved. Reeve said the affair was not serious, but the police latched onto the love triangle theory like a dog with a bone. If you read the full case file, 10,000 pages of documents, you can see how consumed they became. Weeks, months, interrogating, pressuring, digging. One detective later admitted, "We put him through everything short of physically harming him. We violated his civil rights." Eventually, Dudley was cleared. John, Reeve, and Dudley, all innocent. The investigation moved forward. Over the years, dozens of suspects were investigated. 3 rose to national attention. The first was a man arrested in 1981 for abducting a child in Pompano Beach. A cellmate claimed he had confessed to luring Adam and then disposing of the body. Police searched his car, a 1974 Plymouth Fury. He had replaced the front seat in August of 1981, right after Adam's disappearance, but investigators found nothing conclusive. He passed a voice stress examination. His employer confirmed he was at work on the day Adam vanished. Case closed on that suspect. The second man had attempted to decapitate someone in Las Vegas. A cellmate claimed this man had bragged about killing Adam, but he provided his DNA voluntarily and was ruled out in 2008. And he later admitted he had only confessed to appear dangerous in prison. And then there was Jeffrey Dahmer. In 1991, when Dahmer was arrested in Milwaukee for his crimes, multiple witnesses came forward claiming they had seen him outside the Hollywood Sears on July 27, 1981. Police investigated thoroughly. Dahmer had been discharged from the military in early 1981. He flew to Miami in March of that year. By July, he was broke and sleeping on beaches. He got a job at a sandwich shop and worked there from April through September of 1981. The shop had a blue delivery van, but the owner said Dahmer was never allowed to drive it because he drank too much. Dahmer denied killing Adam. He said, "If I did it, I would tell you. I would welcome the death penalty." And here is what makes that statement complicated. Dahmer admitted to every other murder in meticulous, horrifying detail. He never once tried to minimize what he had done. Why would he lie about only this one? Then again, Dahmer had lied to his father for years, to his lawyer, to investigators. He could be convincing when he chose to be. He was never charged. He was murdered in prison in 1994. The question died with him. I need to stop here for one moment. You have heard what happened to Adam. You have heard how the system failed him. You know that the only reason laws changed, the only reason children are safer today, is because people refused to let this story die. This channel exists for exactly that reason, to make sure these stories are never forgotten, to make sure the cases that shaped America are told properly and with the respect they deserve. If you believe that matters, if you believe Adam's story should reach every corner of this country, then share this video right now, not tomorrow, right now. And if you are one of the people watching who still hasn't subscribed, I want you to ask yourself something honest. Why not? What is the actual reason? Go to the comments and tell me. Because if this story hasn't moved you enough to hit one button, I genuinely want to understand why. On October 10, 1983, a television movie simply called Adam aired on national television. 38 million people watched. At the end of the broadcast, photographs of missing children were displayed on screen alongside a hotline number. The next day, a detective in Brevard County received a confession. Otis Toole, a drifter, a convicted arsonist, locked up and hinting that he had killed a child. Then he said it plainly. He and his partner Henry Lee Lucas had abducted a boy from a Sears in Fort Lauderdale. They drove north. The boy would not stop fighting. They pulled over on a dirt road. Lucas used a machete, 3 to 4 blows, face down. There was an enormous problem with this confession. Henry Lee Lucas was in jail in Maryland on the day Adam was abducted. Locked up. Could not possibly have been in Florida. When confronted with this fact, Toole changed his story immediately. "Okay, I did it alone," he said. I only said Lucas was there to get back at him. He killed my niece. Toole and Lucas had met in a Jacksonville soup kitchen in 1976. They became partners and went on a cross-country killing spree. Lucas eventually claimed 600 victims. Then Toole claimed 125. Law enforcement would come to call them the confession killers, men who fabricated detailed confessions in exchange for what investigators described as fried chicken and field trips. Getting out of their cells, eating free food, riding in cars to supposed crime scenes. Toole confessed to Adam's murder, then recanted, then confessed again, then recanted at least 4 separate times over the years, but there was one detail that made investigators sit straight up. Toole described Adam being placed face down before being struck from behind. That detail matched the medical examiner's autopsy report exactly, and according to investigators, that specific detail had not been released to the public. Police tracked down a 1971 Cadillac that Toole claimed to have used. It had been repossessed by its owner and was sitting in a Jacksonville lot. Investigators got a warrant and searched it. On November 2, 1983, they applied luminol inside the vehicle. The floorboards lit up. Driver, side, rear left, blood. But the technology to determine whether that blood was human or animal simply did not exist yet in 1983. So they sealed the evidence, documented everything, and left it in Jacksonville for 6 months, waiting for the Hollywood Police Department to come and retrieve it. The Hollywood Police Department never came. The car was returned to the owner, sold for scrap in 1985. The carpet, the blood, gone forever through pure institutional negligence. In 1995, an FBI agent reached out directly to John Walsh. "Get me that carpet." The agent said, "Get me that blood sample. I will run DNA testing. We will close this case." When they contacted Hollywood PD for the evidence, it was gone, lost, destroyed. The single piece of physical proof that could have closed this case had vanished because nobody went to pick it up. One investigator who later examined a luminol photograph from that car said he could make out what appeared to be the outline of a child as face in the blood pattern on the floorboard. Reeve Walsh believes it. "That's my child," she says, "but we will never know for sure." Police tracked Toole's movements meticulously. They confirmed he was in Florida in May of 1981 because his mother had died. They confirmed he checked out of a hospital in Virginia on July 24th and obtained a bus ticket to Jacksonville. He arrived July 25th. On August 1st, he moved into a boarding house, confirmed by a police report filed when his brother assaulted him over a stolen truck. But between July 26th and July 30th, the exact window of Adam's murder, police could not pin down his precise location. On September 15th, 1996, Otis Toole died in prison. Cirrhosis of the liver, hepatitis. Before he died, he reportedly told his niece during a prison visit, "Yeah, I killed the little boy. I always felt kind of bad about it, too." John Walsh later said the Hollywood Police Department did not even know Toole was dying. Nobody went to take a final statement from him. In 2008, John and Reeve Walsh hired a retired detective named Joe Matthews. He spent months reviewing every single one of the 10,000 pages in the case file. His conclusion was clear. Otis Toole killed Adam Walsh. The Hollywood Police Department reviewed Matthews' findings and agreed. On December 16, 2008, 27 years after a 6-year-old boy disappeared from a Florida mall, Police Chief Chad Wagner stood at a podium and announced that the case was officially closed. John and Reeve Walsh were in the room. Wagner publicly apologized for the mistakes, the lost evidence, and the institutional failures that had prolonged the family's anguish for nearly 3 decades. John Walsh stepped to the microphone. His voice was steady. "Today is a reaffirmation," he said, "that Adam did not die in vain. For all victims who have not yet gotten justice, do not give up hope. Not everyone accepts the official conclusion." Critics note that Toole's very first confession contained almost everything wrong. The clothing description was wrong. The child's age was wrong. The involvement of Lucas, who was provably in jail, was wrong. Toole could not identify Adam as photograph. Every version of the confession seemed to absorb details that investigators had already shared with him. Others still believed Dahmer was responsible, that he borrowed the work van, committed the crime, returned it, and no one noticed. Both men are dead. Dahmer was murdered in prison. Toole died in a hospital bed, and the absolute irrefutable truth may never be fully known. But here is what we do know. Here is the part of this story that matters most. John and Reeve Walsh took the most devastating grief imaginable and turned it into a revolution. They founded the Adam Walsh Child Resource Center, a non-profit dedicated to missing, abused, and exploited children. A television movie was produced about Adam's case. The rights sold for $150,000, and that money funded the center. After the movie aired on national television, $40,000 in donations poured in overnight. Missing children shown at the end of the broadcast were found. Families across the country learned what stranger danger actually looks like. And the laws began to change. In October of 1982, President Reagan signed the Missing Children Act into law. For the first time in American history, missing children were entered into the National Crime Information Computer. The system that had failed Adam Walsh was being rebuilt from the ground up. John pushed relentlessly for the Violent Crime Apprehension Program, known as VICAP, to track and link serial offenders across state lines so that no killer could hide behind jurisdiction. The Adam Walsh Center grew into the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. To date, that organization has recovered over 360,000 children, brought home because of one little boy in yellow flip-flops. In 2006, President George W. Bush signed the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act. It expanded the National Sex Offender Registry. It created a National Child Abuse Registry. It significantly strengthened the legal penalties for crimes against children. John Walsh became the host of America's Most Wanted. 23 years on air. 1,100 fugitives captured. He went on to host several other programs dedicated to hunting criminals and bringing them to justice. And then there is Code Adam, the program used in retail stores across the entire United States today. When a child goes missing inside a store, a Code Adam announcement is made. The store locks down. Every exit is covered. Every employee mobilizes. Nobody leaves until that child is found. You have probably heard it called before. Now you know exactly where it came from. John and Reeve stayed married. They had 3 more children. They chose, against every reason they had to fall apart, to stay together and keep fighting. Adam Walsh was 6 years old, 3 feet and 6 inches tall, sandy blonde hair, hazel eyes, a face full of freckles. He called his mother Mommy. He called his father Daddy. And he watched Sesame Street in the mornings. He loved baseball with his whole heart. He loved to draw. And on a summer morning in 1981, he was standing third in line, waiting for his turn on an Atari video game, when his world was taken from him. He should have gone to 2nd grade. He should have learned to drive, had his first job, fallen in love, had his own children, built his own life. Instead, his name became something else entirely. It became law. It became protection. It became the reason 360,000 children made it home. Every Code Adam announcement you will ever hear in a store, that is him. Every missing child alert that reaches you on your phone, that system exists partly because of him. Every predator listed on the National Sex Offender Registry, that registry was signed into law with his name on it. Adam Walsh did not die in vain, and his story will not be forgotten, not on this channel, not as long as you keep watching and sharing. You just watch this entire video. You sat through every single chapter of this story. You know what Adam went through. You know what his parents went through. You know what that family sacrificed to make sure no other parent ever had to feel what they felt. And right now, the absolute simplest thing you can do to honor that, to make sure this story reaches one more person who needs to hear it, is to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to Crime Files America if you have not already. That is it. That is all. Because here is the truth. If you close this video without doing any of those things, this story stops with you. It does not reach the next person. It does not reach the parent who needs to hear it, the student who is studying criminal justice, the person in another country who has never heard of Adam Walsh. You watched this far because you care. Now prove it. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, and if for some reason you genuinely cannot bring yourself to subscribe today, go to the comments right now and explain why. Tell me what is holding you back, because I want to know, and I promise you, the community down there wants to know too. Also, before you go, drop a comment below and tell me where in the world you are watching this from and what time it is over there right now as you are watching. I want to see this community light up from every corner of the planet. I will see you in the next case. This is Crime Files America, and we are just getting started.